welcome to the BAW show. You may notice that we are not live. We decided to pre-record the show this week because the Baggers are in a prelim final, and this week's just going to be absolutely hectic. Kira, hello.
There's too much going on. There's too much going on to do a live show this week. We have banner night tomorrow night. We have flights here, there, and everywhere. So we thought, let's just get it over and done with early in the week. I'm at uni, hence the different background change, and we're just going to get it out of the way so that then we can not miss it.
That's exactly right. Everything is happening at the moment. As you said, banner is tomorrow night, and we have to do not one but two banners because we have to actually do the banner for the girls for this Saturday as well. Even though majority of us will not be in Melbourne, we are still having.
How are they getting the banner up?
Funny you ask. We are actually having the van driven by one of our Cheers Club members up to Brisbane. So we will have all of our stuff up there. So Richard from the Cheer Squad, massive shout out, has put his hand up to drive the van all the way to Brisbane for this weekend. So, so they'll have the two banners, boys' banner being driven up, and those that are staying behind in Melbourne will be helping out with the girls' banner because we are playing Richmond this week at home. So before we crack into the show, I just want to thank the Blue Abroad channel for letting us have this magnificent platform and to our show sponsor, the Carlton Cheer Squad. How cool does that sound?
I love it. Every week. It does not get old. I love hearing it every single week. The Carlton Cheer Squad, our sponsor. We love them, and they do awesome things for the Carlton Football Club and for the BAW show. So we are very, very grateful for the Carlton Cheer Squad.
No, and I do have my pin. Tez gave it to me last week. These pins are phenomenal, and just seeing everyone wearing them is huge. You can still buy them, I believe, until we win a flag. They are currently, I think, $17. So jump on the BA website and get one of these bad boys.
My mum has not taken that Blue Abroad pin off. She wears it to every work meeting. She's worn it every day. Everyone keeps asking her, what's BA? She explains the whole story. My mum is in love with her BA pin. So everyone go grab one.
Yes. Now, without any further ado, let's get into this.
I love it. It doesn't get old either.
It never gets old. It never will get old. Massive shout out to Willem for putting that together, who I actually met last Wednesday night. He came and did some stuff. You would have seen the video that Terry put together from Banner Night. It was, all pandemonium. I guarantee pandemonium again tomorrow night. But let's get into it. Carlton travelled over to WA to play West Coast Eagles, and we came home with a huge win.
A massive win. I am so proud. And I'm trying not to ride the highs too much because, as we speak about, it's going to be a roller coaster year, and West Coast aren't the greatest AFLW team at the moment. So it wasn't a very difficult matchup, but we won convincingly, and we absolutely dominated every part of the field. We had, let's just get it out of the way early, 7 individual goal kickers. 7. That's 2 hands. 7.
That is 2 hands. Very good.
I'm good at maths. I could not believe it. Skepper, Austin, Moody, Vesio, Delpos, Fitzpatrick, and Goss. Skepper having 3. 7 individual goal kickers. That is not Carlton. I don't know what that is.
No, we'll touch on Keely Skepper in a moment, but the final scores were 12-5, 77 Carlton to 3-6, 24 the West Coast Eagles. Blues led from start to finish. It was comprehensive. I've watched it. I watched it at the time, and I've watched it back since just to really get an in-depth look at what they did. And our ball movement was phenomenal. Like I said to you just before we started recording, that like we were taking the game on. Our tackle pressure was back to where it was against the Gold Coast. We were moving the ball in numbers. We were lowering our eyes and not just bombing it long. And it was just looking laterally, looking into the corridor, and our prolific ball winners that we know that we've got in Mimi Hill, Jess Del Pos, and Abby McKay were just winning the ball out of the middle and giving our forwards first use. And our forwards were actually leading to the ball. They were leading to the ball, Kira.
I'm so excited. We just played, and you can say that it was West Coast, but at the end of the day, you can only beat who is in front of you, and we beat them, and we beat them really convincingly. And at the end of the day, you just need to work on your game plan and get an idea of how we want to play as a club. And I think that's what we saw on the weekend. If we go out there, we're not going to win every week, but if we go out there with that game plan every week, that style, that attitude, and that will to win, we will be right in many games this season, because that was unbelievable football.
100%. And just looking at our ball winners, like Mariana Anthony again, 9 tackles. Jess Del Pos, 6. Moody, 5. Keely Shara, 7. Like, incredible stuff. That just shows the tackle pressure, like, unbelievable. And like our disposal efficiency was a little bit better than theirs. Our inside 50 efficiency was a little bit better than theirs. Our contested possessions, 123 contested possessions.
You don't read about that.
No, you don't. Like, that's 66 tackles. That's crazy. Like we just dominated everywhere. Stoppage clearances, we won. Hit outs, we absolutely smashed. Like, unbelievable. And they listened to us, Kira, last week.
They did.
When we said Bree Moody should not be in the forward line, they listened.
And see what happens?
Dominate. She's not all Australian ruckman for no reason.
Not at all. But you know what? We've got that experiment out the way. They were trying things. You can't fault them in that. They were throwing the magnets around and trying whatever they can, which is at the end of the day what we need to do as a young team and a team that hasn't had many wins on the board in the last 12, 24 months. But putting Moody back where she belongs, A+. 7, I'm mentioning it again. 7 individual goal kickers, A+. Contested possessions, A+. We just played a very rounded, fantastic game on the weekend. I'm very proud.
Unbelievably. And I'm looking back on it and just seeing like just the ability for us to win the ball and just fight for the ball and just move the ball. Like we were talking about it at the start of the year that the game is only going to get quicker.
Absolutely.
Right? And by moving the ball, not giving West Coast the opportunity to get back, because they've had their coach for a long time now. So he's been there since the start of the West Coast AFLW team. And you haven't seen the progression of West Coast that probably you'd want to see in like you're getting in your Richmonds and that sort of thing. So we put the question to them, well, this is the first time we're playing you guys. What do you got?
Yeah,
and
spot on.
For a team that's changed so much, we dominated from start to finish.
Absolutely. And we could have very easily gone into this game and thought, West Coast, kind of at the same level, probably us a little bit higher going into the game. Let's just stroll in and have a good day and get home. No way. We went in there and we went in there for wins and big wins. And I'm just really, really happy that we went in, dominated, didn't just scrape past, get the win. We really dominated. Now we can move on to next week and hopefully back it up. Richmond are
no, they're not. And you were right in saying last week that it could go one of two ways. We could either have a really, really close game or we could blow them out of the water. And we did the latter, which is amazing for our percentage and amazing for where we sit, because we're currently sitting 9th now. So we're in and around. So it's going to take a lot for us to keep pushing and winning games of football. But what I saw on the weekend is probably the best game those girls have played collectively in the last 2 seasons.
Unreal.
By far the best game I have seen them play, without a shadow of a doubt, and that's saying something.
That's coming from Coach Shan. That says a lot.
And Bucky's wife decided to follow us both individually on Instagram. I love that for us. Huge shout out to Mrs. Buck. Thank you so much for your
You
support.
watch our show. We love you so much.
I know. We love your husband just as much because he is doing phenomenal things with these girls. And just the shift in mindset in these girls from last season to this season is amazing. And it's just buzz is amazing.
I was about to say, I'm really feeling a culture shift, and culture doesn't change overnight. It's not going to change in one off season, but I can feel that buzz. I can feel just a layer of something that's bubbling down at the surface, and it's not just a complete flat. Like we've got something. It's energetic. And it would help that they're in the same building as a team that's about to play in a prelim. Like, let's be honest here. They'd coincide a lot. Like that football club at the moment would be insane to be inside of. So I think that would also have an effect on the girls' energy level. But I think Bucky's doing, based off 3 games, a really good job.
Better than any of us could have anticipated. Better than any of us could have anticipated. And I'm loving what they're doing. It is some of the best football collectively as a group. They're playing as a team, not as a team of individuals.
Oh,
yeah, how good does that sound? Match report, I believe that one of our girls has been offered a 2-week suspension for rough conduct in the 3rd quarter. That was, where is she?
I didn't know that.
Lawson.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, she was offered a 2-match ban for rough conduct in the 3rd quarter of the game on the weekend. I think the club had until midday today, which is Tuesday, to make that decision. Whether they're going to fight it or not, I'm not sure if they have. But I did notice it on socials last night that she was suspended for those 2 matches. I didn't see anything untoward in the game, so I'm guessing that the club might just accept the 2-match ban. But I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't even know that, so I can't really make much comment on it, but interesting. I mean, not good if we're rough contact, but at least we're going at the ball and playing with a bit of fight.
That's it. And while we're on the topic of the program, you were at the VFLW/VFL Awards last night, Monday night. And 2 of our girls made Team of the Year.
They sure did. Yeah, the Carlton the Carlton VFLW girls were actually the table next to me. They looked like they were having a very fun night, and they had quite a good night in the awards too, in the Team of the Year, which is really exciting, and quite a few votes polled throughout the tally, the vote count, whatever you want to call it. So it was a really exciting night last night, and the Carlton girls smashed it out the park.
Yeah, so Ashley Thornycroft and Maddie DeCosimo were the 2 that made the VFL Team of the Year, and ironically shared the honours of the Carlton VFL BNF themselves.
Yes.
I've actually played football with Ash at Pascoe Vale, and she is a phenomenal midfielder. Won our best and fairest with a leg in the air in 2021, and has played the last 2 seasons at Carlton VFLW, and she is a ripper person and a ripper footballer. So congratulations to both Ash and Maddie for making the VFL Team of the Year alongside the AFLW's latest recruit for Carlton, Kira Fitzgerald, on the half-back line for North Melbourne.
It is really, really promising to see some really exciting talent coming through our VFLW program. I think at times we probably haven't utilised that pathway as much as we could have. And I think that's more of a competition-wide thing rather than a Carlton thing. But yeah, it's really exciting to see talent coming through the doors at Carlton, be it on the lower level end, because we develop them up. We teach them our structures really early on, and then they're there waiting for us for an AFLW call-up. So that's really exciting. But just before we move on from last night, completely off the topic of Carlton, there were 3 joint winners for the VFLW Best and Fairest.
Wow.
3. It was a 3-way tie. That is insane. And 2 of them were from the same club.
Oh, wow.
It
There you
was
go.
ridiculous. Anyways, good night,
That's
and
cool.
Carlton girls smashed it.
Yep, and that's all we can say. And like I believe Lily Goss is one of those players that you are talking about that has done her time at Carlton VFL level and has made her way up onto the AFLW list. And she was one of our 7 goal kickers on the weekend, and she was fantastic. So
Yes.
unbelievable talent, like you said. Future looks bright. While we're talking about the future, let's talk about our rising star. Keely Skepper. Phenomenal. Her best game for the club, hands down. She was
And
everywhere.
more. Like, oh my Lord. She was incredible. When I talk about our 7 goals 10 million times in today's episode, she kicked 3. 3.
From the
3
wing.
goals in AFLW is a lot of goals for an individual.
From the wing.
Like,
From the wing.
I'm going to say it one more time. 7 individual goal kickers, 3 goals for Steph. That's insane.
God. She has had a role shift, I believe, this year, it looks like. I've seen her up at the contest all 3 games, winning the ball out. But just her ability on the weekend to not only extract the footy from the contest, but hit up a target, something that I know she struggled with. She struggled with that. But like you said, 3 goals in AFLW is huge. And
yeah.
I can only see amazing things coming for Skep. And what else can you say? She's our rising star for this week. She's a rising star, full stop.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you touched on, she wasn't just accumulating the football. She was doing good stuff with it. She was getting it forward. She was defensive at times. She was kicking goals. She was running up and down the wing. Like, she was everywhere, and not just everywhere, but being okay. She was everywhere and being great. Like, Skepper, we have to protect that girl at all costs. She
can't let that one go.
Staying with us. Don't even think about going anywhere else. Thank you, please.
No. Well, when you look at it, 5 Blues took home coaches' votes.
Yeah. Who were
Skep
they?
polled a perfect 10.
Wow.
Let me see. They actually say. I'm looking on the oh, okay, I can tell you. So it was Skep, Moods, Mim, Shara, and Vickers.
Yeah, right. Nice. Good combo there.
Very good for me to actually recognise them by face and not by, because their names aren't listed. So I'm doing really well there. That's a
good
sign
job.
I know our girls.
You know them. Good work.
Tick in the right box. Speaking of Bree Moody, let's jump back to her for a sec. 16 disposals, 24 hit outs, 6 score involvements, 2 goals herself. Amazing.
Oh, unreal. Like, I could go through the whole list and talk about all the things that they did well, because everyone just in the way that they were meant to. But of course, there are always the ones that stand up, and Moody was one of them. And like, I just cannot get over how many goals we kicked in this game. I
know.
Cannot believe it. I know I'm just going around and round and round and round in circles, but I think it's because I'm in so much disbelief that we were able to impact the scoreboard so much.
Yeah. Wow.
I think it's because it's what's it called when censored and I haven't moved for a while? You keep talking and I'll turn the lights on.
Okay, you go for it. No, I was just going to say to everyone that Mimi Hill once again was prolific, 23 disposals. Gab Pound in her second game back, 19 disposals. Jess Del Pos, 14. Mia Austin, I thought, played a fantastic game, kicking 2 goals.
That was scary.
Yeah. That happened to me in the first episode of the club, remember? The lights turned off on me and so at least it's happened to both of us this year.
Maybe it's just like a BAW show thing that our lights turn off in the middle of an episode.
Or our audio drops out, or we freeze, or we're just destined for failure, aren't we?
Don't say that. We're destined for success, Shan, like our girls, like the AFLW program.
Just looking at it, like, I think everybody that had an impact had more than 10 disposals.
Beautiful.
And in women's football, for 90%, so at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players on the field to score less than 10 disposals, that's huge. Like, it shows that we're winning the ball. We're winning the ball and we're doing good things with it. I remember Nick messaged us both during the game. It was just amazing. Like, we're hitting targets. We're lowering our eyes and we're not just blazing away. And we're seeing things that we haven't seen before from this group. I could talk about the amazing work that we did all day, but obviously we can't be here all day. So
we really, really looked like we were, what's the word? We were just using skill. And I know that sounds so stupid because it's so basic. Like, when you play a game of football, you need to use skill. But for many games in the past 2 seasons, we just haven't looked like we've been at the level in the skill capacity. And this game was the first game where I really looked at them and I said, no, like, they have what it takes. They have the skill. They have the game plan. They have the structure. They have all the little pieces now in place. It's just going to be about consistency. And that's what's really pleasing to see.
That's true. And we said it all year last year. Basic skill errors were occurring. Couldn't kick, couldn't mark, couldn't handball. They've gone away. They've gotten somebody who has a game plan. They've worked on their craft. And it's the fact, I reckon the biggest shift for me is moving from evening training sessions to day, because they spend more time together, more time out on the track, more time honing in on their skills. We're actually seeing the rewards of the hard work that has gone on. And like, knowing Mua the way I know Mua, she said she was interviewed at halftime of the game, and she said, we back in our preseason. We back it in. We back in our ability. And I love that. I love that they're backing each other in.
That's great.
And, it's something that I'm really looking forward to seeing more and more of, and something to build on. Like, we may not be the Melbourne or the North Melbourne this year, or the Brisbane or the Adelaide, those that have been really good for a prolonged period of time. Give it a season or 2 together with the injection of any new players. And obviously we're going to lose players to retirement and that sort of things in the next few years. But if the core group of these girls can stick together, why not us in 2 or 3 years' time?
I seriously think that our number one word for the next 2 seasons is consistency on and off the field. We need player consistency. We need consistency each week when we're playing. We need consistency within the coaching staff. We need consistency within, eating and fitness and all of that stuff. I think consistency is going to be our best friend the next 2 seasons if we want to go somewhere great. And I think we can if we're consistent.
100%. Shifting our focus now to
Richmond
this coming Saturday. We come up against the Tigers, who we have played before, and I think we've beaten them in the 2 occasions that we have met, I'm pretty sure.
We lost to them last season.
Okay, so we're 1-1.
34-44 we lost. And it was a real – I'll never forget it because, fun fact, I met Tori at this game, the bestie Tori. I met Tori for the first time at Carlton Richmond AFLW game last year at Icon Park, and we were in front for the majority of the game. It was a pretty tight one.
Right.
And then we coughed it up in the last quarter. So let's not do that again. Definitely not unbeatable, and let's go in there, play the way we did on the weekend, and we're a real shot at winning.
That's it. And I remember, actually, no, I do remember that game last year because I took Ava and we caught up with the Hosking twins,
Yeah.
who hadn't seen her since they both left, actually, really, because we didn't align really well. And keen to see how this one plays out. Just having a look at their game, they defeated the Giants 53-34. And they were it was a close game up until three-quarter time when they kicked 2 quick goals in the last quarter to win by 19 points. Just looking at it, I believe Alicia Eva copped a week for her rough conduct tackle on Sarah Hosking. Jess got injured pretty early. But looking at their stats across the board, they didn't look too impressive. I watched a bit of that game and they weren't really that impressive. Like, you have your Mon Contis who are the outliers, but just looking at them on the whole, definitely beatable. Definitely
100%.
beatable.
I think the quick goals are what we need to really look out for. As we mentioned just before, the way we lost last season was those quick goals in the last quarter where we just couldn't hold on to them. And I think that's where we really need to be important. One, we need to be scoring and we need to try and have the same scoreboard pressure, although we won't be able to the extent because we are against a better defensive team than we were against West Coast, but we still need to try and hit the scoreboard with the same aggression we did last week. And then in turn, we need to have a really aggressive back line because we cannot let quick goals go out the back because that's where this game will be won and lost.
That's it. And Katie Brennan doesn't have 2 bad games in a row. She kicked 1 goal, 3. I know she can kick goals. So we're going to have to keep our eye on her. Amelia Yasia, another forward who kicked 2 goals, 1. So we just need to, and they've also had the injection of Caitlin Greiser from St Kilda this year. She only kicked 1 goal on the weekend, but we know she can kick the ball very well from very far out. So she's another one that we're going to have to lock on. In terms of their midfield, I'm not too fussed. Grace Egan, give or take. She decides when she wants to go in for the football, so I'm not too worried about her. Maddie Shevlin, I know she's another ex-Collingwood, I believe. Their ruckman, Georgia Seymour, she will get absolutely eaten alive by Bree Moody. Courtney Jones will be the second time she's played against us because she was with Gold Coast last year. She kicked 1 goal. We need to be mindful of her up forward because we know how crafty she can be. But yeah, the only one player that got over 20 disposals for them was Mon Conti. So Mim Hill will lock on her. Abby McKay will lock on her. We know she can move the ball really well outside the contest. She even goes in and gets her own footy. So she's probably the only player I want to put on watch. Let's have a look at how she did last week.
I thought I was going to sneeze then, but I saved it. I think absolutely. From what you mentioned there, all of the players that we're a little bit concerned about are the players that kick goals that didn't kick many goals last week. So absolutely, if you put enough defensive pressure on them, we can make them crack and do the exact same thing they did last week, which is, I think, what our aim should be. But you keep them loose, you give them their opportunities, they're going to take them. So that, for me and you, is what we need to really, really be working on.
Yeah. And like I said from the top, majority of us will unfortunately not be there. But fortunately enough, we'll be up in Brisbane watching our boys play a prelim final. Games at 1:25.
Any chance that the Carlton Football Club keep the club open after the AFLW game for the prelim?
You'd want to hope so. I know they might be working on something in the background, hopefully, to have a live site like we did for the semi-final in 2011 when we played over in Perth. Because I remember back then the flights to Perth were absolutely wrought. Don't even get me started on the flights for some of our supporters that have had to fork out. But I'd hope so. It could be a really good incentive to get people to come to watch the girls. Exactly. The incentive to stay and watch the boys.
It's the exact same thing as round 1 when we were saying how good their planning was to have the boys in the morning and then the girls in the night. It's the exact same thing. Get them in. Even put a thing out that you can only stay for the prelim if you come from the first bounce of the girls. Like, come from halftime with the girls. Make some incentive, something along those lines. The only reason I say they might not is because the VFL Grand Final is at Icon Park on Sunday, so they might want to look after the place. But fingers crossed that they get something sorted so that we can get lots of people who aren't in Brisbane down to the AFLW.
Very, very valid point. And like, food outlets will be open. The club can open the shop. Like, not everyone's going to travel to Brisbane from the club. Like, do something to incentivize our fans to be together for the prelim final. You want us to bring the noise to Brisbane? We're bringing the noise to Brisbane. But we want everyone together. I want everyone together.
Yeah.
Watch the girls. Celebrate the girls. Because they're on at 1:25. Plenty of time for you to come and stay and watch that game. And then if you don't want to stay, if the club aren't doing anything, be together for the girls. Disperse off into any local pub in the Carlton area and watch the game together if the club don't have a live site.
Absolutely. If the club don't still get to the girls because there's plenty of time to get home or get to a pub for the boys, we really still need to stick behind the girls where we can. We both will be in another state, so it'll be impossible for us to be at the AFLW game, but we will be watching from afar and cheering on very loud.
I guarantee you we will all have our phones out watching the girls from the Gabba.
Absolutely.
Or from wherever the pre-game function will be for the Queensland supporter group, we will have our phones out. We will be watching the girls. Because if we weren't playing in a prelim, that's where we'd be. We'd be at Icon Park. So fantastic that the boys have made a prelim final. I'm still shook. But it's important to still understand that it's the start of the season for the girls and we still need that support there. Because support in numbers, like I saw half a dozen supporters behind the goals waving flags in Perth. Like, that's huge for our girls to have a following wherever they go. And it's huge, huge. Predictions. What do you think?
We're going to win by 3 goals. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
My concern is that if it's closer, if it's less than a goal of difference, we lose. I think we have to win, like, not convincingly, but by at least 2 goals, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to win by 3 goals as well. Just thinking we need to stop their midfield. Stop their supply to their forward line. And that's the key for me to beating Richmond. Because we know they've got some really good forwards, but so do we. We saw that on the weekend. How many goal kickers did we have again, Kira?
7! 7. 2 hands, 7. And 3 of them kicked more than 1 goal.
7. That's huge in itself. So both of us think we're going to get the W. I hope everyone that watches this when we do post it, still like and subscribe, still comment. We will see all your comments. I think that just about wraps it up, Kira. I know you've got to get to a class. I've got to go back to work. But no, thank you so much for jumping on and helping pre-record this one. Massive weekend coming up.
Big weekend, but we'll wrap it up with Go Baggers, and hopefully we're sitting here next week with 2 wins under our belt.
That's it. Go Baggers. I'll see you in Brisbane.